Okay, everybody, good morning. What is going on? Hope you guys are still doing well as we head into the afternoon here. And I had a couple people ask me to do a video about the Seattle Seahawks overall salary cap situation right now. So, in the aftermath of the Devin Witherspoon extension, I think it's a pretty good time to check in and see where things stand. So we're going to take a look at over the cap here because they have, as far as we know, the most accurate numbers because they actually have the Witherspoon extension and Spotrac does not. So we're just going to use over the cap. And again, like I said in the Witherspoon video this morning, if we get information later that contradicts what we have, then we can revise things a little bit. But I think this will work. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So looking at the over the cap page, right now, the top 51, which is the number that you more or less want to look at, top 51, because right now our cap liabilities are 333 million over that actually, but most of the players, or not most, but a lot of the players currently on the team are not going to be on the team when we go down to 53. We got 91 players listed right now, and only 53 are going to make the team. So the top 51 is basically a way to take a look at where things stand without having to include a bunch of players that you know are going to get released. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that as you look at this, it's not a perfect representation of who will make the team and who won't. Like, for instance, once you get down below the top 51 cutoff, which is right here, you'll see guys like Torrey Horton below the cutoff and Jalen Sundell and George Halani. These are guys who are definitely going to make the team. Bo Stevens is also below the cutoff. A couple other guys that are probably going to make the team are below the cutoff as well. So those guys are going to make it, and then you're going to have some guys above the cutoff that probably won't make the team. So you have to keep in mind that the number is not going to be exactly accurate, and it's not going to be exactly accurate anyway because it's a top 51, and we're going to carry 53. So keep in mind, it's not perfect, and it doesn't need to be. But if you take that number into account, the current cap space for the Seattle Seahawks is just over 20 million, 20.2 million, call it. So that is where things stand right now after the Witherspoon extension, which did add a little more than 5 million in money for 2026, but we remain flush with a decent amount of cap space. But where does it go from here? What else do we have to think about? What are some other things that might happen to affect this cap space? Well, the first thing would be that maybe our Witherspoon number is wrong, and this number will actually go up a little bit. If that happens, then our cap space will go down some. But it's not going to be a huge difference. Like maybe this number becomes like 20 million. I could see that. But even if that happens, then you're down to like 15, 16 million in cap. So not really something I'm going to think about here. And I think this number is probably pretty reasonable, 15.4. So we're going to roll with that for the time being. The big thing that could change in the coming few weeks here would be Leonard Williams. Right now, Leonard Williams is on a $29.6 million contract, or cap number, and he wants, and the team wants to give him an extension. The thing to keep in mind here, if Leonard Williams gets extended, it's going to take the cap number down. That's one of the reasons why you extend him. You push the money out into the future, and the player gets long-term security. So that is the main thing that can happen here. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today and remember to always gamble responsibly. Now, it's hard to know exactly how much cap space would be freed up by a Leonard Williams extension because we don't know what the extension would look like. We don't know how much money it would be. We don't know how many years it would be. But I think it's reasonable to assume that a Leonard Williams extension would free up at least 7 or 8 million in cap space. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe you get this number down to like 20 and it frees up close to 10. But I think you are somewhere in that range. And that's part of the incentive to get the extension done. So if that happens, and even if it's just like 7 million, you can get this number up to 27 million in cap space. Now you're in a really good spot. And what's left? What else are you going to do with that cap space at this point? Who else are you going to extend? Who else are you going to give a raise to? Not really anybody else left. And there are a couple things to consider here. You do need to build out your practice squad, which is going to cost $3 to $4 million. And you do need to leave money left over in case of injury, and you need to sign players from week to week. Most teams like to have about 3 to 4 million there. So after a Leonard Williams extension, even if it's flattening out this cap hit, you're probably back to around 20 million. But that 20 million is yours to do basically anything you want with it. You can trade for most players. Most players you can trade for, you're either going to be able to get at a cap hit of less than 20 million, or you're going to be able to restructure or redo or extend their deal or whatever they want and get it into a situation where the cap hit is below 20. So at that point, the trade deadline is kind of your oyster. You can go out and do another Rashid Shaheed trade. You can go out and do a Leonard Williams trade. You can go out and do an Ernest Jones trade. You can do the Max Crosby trade. You can trade for Thibodeau. You can do almost anything short of trading for a quarterback, which we're not going to do anyway. And that wouldn't make sense for pretty much any team to do. You don't see quarterbacks get traded at the deadline almost ever. So at that point, you have everything you need. So basically, the way to look at it is the Leonard Williams extension is going to more or less get canceled out by the practice squad money and the injury buffer money. Now, let's say you don't make a trade or the trade you make is small. That's okay too. That 20 million, which I estimated would be somewhere around 20 million at this point, can roll over into 2027. And 2027, things start to get pretty real, right? Like 2027 is a year where you've got more extensions to hand out, right? It's going to be time for Byron Murphy. It might be time for AJ Barner. Ernest Jones is going to be in a contract year. Drake Thomas might be due an extension. Tyrese Knight's in a contract year at that point. And whatever you can do to create a little bit of extra cap space, like rolling over 20 million or close to 20 million, is going to help that process along tremendously. So that, I think, is the right way to look at things right now. We have plenty of money. We have 20 million in cap space. And I think we will still have 20 million after business gets done with Leo, the practice squad, and then you have your injury buffer. So you can trade for players or you can roll it over and apply that money to extending some of the guys that are going to come up next year. Like, again, Byron Murphy, who is not going to go anywhere. Got to extend him. Sam Darnold, we'll see what happens this year, but probably extending him. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. More stuff coming soon.